Hey Geek Squad, if you don't know what the Geek Squad is, that's probably because you aren't subscribed to the channel, so you should definitely do that. Guys, welcome to part 2 of buying a cryptocurrency miner, and specifically a used cryptocurrency miner, because there are some distinguishable differences between buying a brand new miner and a used one. Obviously, well, I'm going to dive into some of the more technical things that you should be looking for when you buy a used cryptocurrency miner today. Now, if you haven't already watched the part 1 of this video, then here is the thumbnail, and you should definitely go and watch that first, because some of the same questions will still apply, but we're going to go in a little bit more depth now, because obviously buying a used miner, there is more risk associated with that machinery. So without further ado, I'm Jace, this is my little man Loki, and we are here on the Coin Mining Geek channel because we love cryptocurrency mining, even in this very red market that we are going through right now. The bears are trying to eat us alive. I'm pretty sure the cryptocurrency market dropped a whopping 11% last night, but remember guys, this is where we are being tested as crypto miners, as crypto lovers. We're being tested to see if we're just going to get scared and jump out the market. Well, we're not. We are here to stay, and the Geek Squad is going to be taking over cryptocurrency mining inside of 2022, guys. So hold strong. The crypto market will reverse. It is just going through a normal market cycle where there is a lot of volatility, which is absolutely normal. So guys, the first point, yes, we have our little helper, my big man Loki Poke. Gotcha. The first question you need to be asking when you look for a used cryptocurrency miner, guys, is what does it look like? Is it as beautiful and handsome as this Frenchman here? Or does it look a little bit rough around the edges? A little bit like this miner right here. This is a miner that just recently sold an Antminer DR5 on eBay for just over £3,500. And I'm not being funny. Look at it, this thing, it looks like it's been set on fire at least once. I wouldn't be touching this miner with a barge pole. I'd steer well clear. Chances are, guys, if your miner looks like it's had a really hard life, just like a human being, sometimes it probably has, and therefore, I'm not saying avoid it completely, but I would very much look at the next thing that we're going to go into, which is the stats, the facts, the figures from the miner in itself. So guys, the second question that you want to ask your used cryptocurrency miner seller is that, can you have a picture of the performance of the miner running? Now I'm going to bring up a generic Antminer L3 Plus picture right now, and I'm going to dive into a couple of things that you can see on your screen right now. And the first thing I want to draw your attention to is here on the left hand side, the number of chains. You need to understand that the number of chains, or the boards that are running, are equal to the hash rate. So for example, here you can see that the Antminer L3 Plus is hashing at just over 500 mega hash a second, which is the right hash rate for this machine, and there's 4 chains running. So if you find one and there's only 3 chains running, you won't be hashing at the right rate. So that's for something obvious that will be occurring to you. There will be a board down and you won't be hashing at the correct rate. So it's always a good idea to understand what hash rate your miner is supposed to be working at. The next thing to look at is the hardware section, and this is all to do with hardware errors. Now these naturally occur on the miners because these machines are working super hard all of the time. But what can happen is if somebody overclocks or overworks the machine, or it's in a particularly hot environment, or it's been run for years and years, it's in a little bit of an older machine, so you're talking 3 to 4 years old, something like that, you might get more hardware errors. Now the reason you need to pay attention to this is because 400 or 500 hardware errors across all of the chains per day is perfectly acceptable. But if you start getting thousands of hardware errors, I'd say it wouldn't be too long, maybe 3 to 6 months down the line, where you're going to start to have more and more pressure on that machine. Those hardware errors will go up, and eventually you could have ASIC chip failures, which look like this on the right hand side. You've got all these little circles, and these are all your ASIC chips per chain. Now if one of those fails, it's going to look like a little cross or a little X in this position here. Now, if that happens, what's going to happen is the rest of those ASIC chips have to work harder to maintain your hash rate of your machine. So you will find that more ASIC chips fail even faster beyond that point. So the chances are your hardware will not run for very long if that's already happening. Now here's an example, guys. My machine is a bit of a beast and it throws out hardly any hardware errors. I was very lucky with this machine. As you can see, it's been running for a couple of days and it's got a single digit of hardware errors, which is just brilliant. But other machines like this, as you can see in the example, have done thousands of hardware errors in a very, very short period of time. I personally wouldn't touch this machine because I would have to expect to replace that hash board in the next 3 to 6 months. And a hash board on an L3 Plus to replace, which is readily available, is £350. Well, when you consider these machines are only selling for £800 to £900 right now, that's quite a lot of money. So guys, that wraps it up. Just 2 simple things to look at. Obviously, as well as some of the questions from that brand new video, obviously, is it in hand and ready to go? You want to know that if you hand over your money, you can take hold of this used miner straight away. But then you want to be looking at the things like delivery. If you're ordering a used miner from abroad and you're relying on shipping, can it be shipped quickly and can it be dispatched or packaged quickly? You want it as fast as possible if you're handing over that money. And the next thing is as many photos as you can to check and verify the outside of the machine to look like it hasn't been in a dark, damp room, something like that, where it's been abused. People should be looking after these machines. These are thousands and thousands of pounds worth of equipment. Some people aren't, and they are the people that you shouldn't be buying from. And then inside of those photos should come the performance photos. So you should either gain a video or a photo of that miner working and having been worked for, I'd say, at least 24 to 48 hours. So you can look at those hardware errors, you can make sure there's no ASIC chip failures, you can make sure it's hashing at the right rate because it will give you an average hash rate as well, which is super important. So just make sure you do your due diligence in that respect. And then you should come away with a machine that not only makes your money back on it, but gives you a return on your investment, or otherwise it's not a great investment, isn't it? So the final thing is, guys, don't get FOMO'd into buying something. If it looks super cheap and it looks too good to be true, then the chances are it probably is. These are money-making machines. You plug them in and they produce coins. Nobody's letting one of these things go for an absolute bargain just because, unless they're in a situation where they desperately need cash flow, in which case that should be the story that they're telling you. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you are not a member of the Geek Squad, and what that means is basically just subscribing to the Coin Mining Geek channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment, smash that like button for us because it helps with the algorithm. It sends it out to more people like you and I who want to learn more about earning truly passive income from these amazing machines and this incredible time that we live in with cryptocurrency right now. So I'm Jace. Thank you so much for joining me here, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.